1. May 4th, 2012. The front door was slightly ajar, open just a little more than a crack. Caleb Parker raised his finger to the doorbell yet another time. He had already walked around the manicured pathway to the back, had checked for Mrs. Sanders at the swimming pool, the tennis courts, the gardens, and the stables. Out in the corral he had found 3 horses, the same 3 he remembered from his visit 2 months earlier. It didn't look as if Mrs. Sanders was out riding. If it hadn't been for the open front door, he would have been sure she wasn't home. It was a beautiful house, even by Rancho Santa Fe standards. There was no moat protecting the palatial estate, but there were signs all around the property warning of alarm systems and armed response. A rose showing its thorns, Caleb thought. A fortune had been spent on security, which again made him wonder why the front door wasn't shut tight. Earlier that morning, Caleb had talked with Mr. Sanders on the phone. Sanders had persuaded him to make the time to come right over to cut down an acacia tree. It was playing havoc with his wife's allergies, Sanders had told him.
"My wife will be waiting for you with bated, if not wheezing breath,"
Sanders had promised. Caleb pushed the doorbell again. He could hear the chimes sounding throughout the house. A minute passed, but still there was no sound of footsteps, nothing to indicate that anyone was home. Except for the open front door. Caleb reached out with his right hand, rapped with his knuckles, causing the door to open several inches, enough for Caleb to get a look inside.
"Hello?"
he called. "Anyone home?" Caleb wondered if he might have set off one of those silent alarms, wondered if at that very moment guards were being dispatched to the house. But he wasn't afraid of burglar alarms so much as the alarms going off in his mind. Caleb sensed that something was very wrong. He could feel it. Standing at the threshold, he was afraid to go forward and afraid to retreat. Scents from inside reached out to him, the beguiling aroma of freshly cut flowers and potpourri. But he still didn't feel reassured. "Hello?" he shouted again, willing his voice to be loud and strong. Again, nothing. Caleb couldn't bring himself to just push open the door. That wouldn't be quite right. Once again he knocked. The front door was oversized and made of heavy wood, but it was well balanced. The door swung completely open, allowing him to see in. Windows and skylights made the interior light and cheery. He contemplated the tiled hallway. It led forward, first to the living room and beyond that to the stairwell. "Anybody here?" Even to Caleb's ears his voice sounded strained, almost desperate. "Turn around," he tried to tell himself, and walk away. But he couldn't. Caleb took a deep breath. No one would be able to fault him for going a little ways forward, maybe as far as the stairwell, where he could shout upstairs. The circumstances all but dictated that. It was possible Mrs. Sanders had succumbed to her allergies. But he still found himself balking at the doorway, his foot hovering over the entryway as if he were girding himself to jump into cold water. The foot dropped. He was inside. He took a second step forward, then a third. Caleb saw the white plush carpeting in the living room, a color that bespoke no children, or the ability to afford very frequent carpet cleaning, or both. Then he saw the bare leg.
"Hello?"
Caleb said, the word coming out as not much more than a whisper. The leg didn't move. Caleb stepped into the living room and found Mrs. Sanders. She was naked, her back propped up against a love seat. Her legs were spread apart. On the inside of her upper right thigh, the red letters S and H had been written.